Hello and welcome to Under a Rock with Brielle and Guerlain. Today we are continuing our talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 3. Today we're talking about episodes 4 to 6.
Yep.
So yeah, let's get right into it. We got some really good episodes.
Yes, we did.
I mean, I know that I tend to say that about every episode where I'm like, oh, this is such a good episode. But really, they're all good episodes.
They are. Like, it's just a good show.
Yeah,
What you gonna
exactly.
do?
So, episode 4, Sokka's Master.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into it.
So we started off with a meteor shower,
Yeah.
shooting stars.
I feel a little bad that Toph can't really see it.
Yeah, she just like, you see nothing once, you see nothing 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Toph.
But she kind of gets a sense of it when the meteorite crashes.
Yeah.
Because she definitely like freaks out. But yeah, the meteorite crashes, and because it's so large, it causes like a little mini fire. So Aang, Katara, and Toph use their bending to basically save the people in the village that's below it. And Sokka's like, I'll just stand here, I guess. I'll watch Momo.
Poor Sokka. I mean, they cherish him as a teammate, but, for his own self-esteem, he's just kind of just like, well, I can't do shit. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
stand here.
Something that I thought of was when Katara was on Appa's back, like waterbending. I thought of that bison's waterbending.
No, you idiot. It's obviously the girl.
Yeah, but what's really interesting about this episode is we start to see Sokka's insecurities really build up, because you have to imagine that they've been building up for a while.
Yeah.
That, this isn't a new thought that he's had. He's mentioned it before, that he feels a little, useless sometimes in the face of everybody's bending. But this, I think, is the episode where it really comes to a head. And the thing that I really love is I love that none of them see Sokka that way.
Right.
None of them believe in his insecurities. All of them respect him and love him and care about him and view him as an equal member of the team.
Right.
Which is so fantastic, because I feel like in other shows or movies, whenever a character has a complex like this, the other characters add to it. Maybe unintentionally, but they add to it by saying things like, oh, well, I guess you could help. I mean, you can't do this, but you could help, but I feel like none of the gang really says that. Maybe Toph did at the beginning a little bit, but all of them are so kind of surprised that Sokka feels this way, because in their eyes, he's amazing.
Right.
He can read the maps, and he always makes them laugh, and he keeps them, going forward and everything,
Keeps them on a nice tight schedule.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that the show didn't make the other characters treat him differently. Mm-hmm. They've always respected and loved him, and I love that.
And Katara just knows the right thing to cheer her big brother up.
I know. Retail therapy. A man after my own heart. Yeah, so they basically go to a weapons store, and Sokka's like trying all these different things, and he can't find something he likes. Mm-hmm. And Aang gets in that huge get up.
I just love it, because it's just like, that's what a majority of anime is.
Yeah.
Big armor, all glowy and shiny. And I just love how when Aang falls over, he's just like, I'll just stick to what I got.
Yeah.
Like, stick to the anime-inspired stuff. You don't have to be full-on anime.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Iroh is in prison, mm-hmm. and he's playing the oldest game in the book, a game that I employ a lot, which is play dumb. Play dumb until you need something, until you've got everything you need. He pretends to be this kind of like senile, disgusting old man, so that the guards kind of like look down from him, and they don't concern themselves with him, right. Which is so smart.
What annoyed me is that guard always has something to say. Like,
yeah,
you can just keep your mouth shut. Just once. Just give him the food.
Like really mean for no reason.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like, I don't know, maybe he was like one of Iroh's old soldiers, and Iroh was like mean to him or something.
Or maybe he looked up to Iroh. And
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Who knows?
But Sokka sees a sword, and he's like, oh, this is an amazing sword. And the guy in the store is like, oh, that's a Piandao sword. he makes them, and he also teaches people to be swordsmen. And Aang is like, oh, that's what you need. You need like your own like master to teach you. So Sokka goes there, and he is so humble and so ready to learn, and just the growth that shows, because at the very beginning of the show, I don't think Sokka would have been humble like that.
Right.
He would have come in just like Piandao thinks, saying, I'm the best swordsman in my village. I'm ready to learn, and you're going to teach me. But instead, throughout all of his journeys, Sokka has seen so much and learned so much. And what he's learned is that there's so much that he doesn't know, and he's so ready to learn. And I love that. It shows such a growth of character from a, not conceited, but from a overconfident little kid to a strong and capable young man, you know?
And it's even hinted at the beginning as they're watching the shooting stars. Sokka's the one that says, looking at this kind of reminds you of how little and insignificant we really are, like in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's really amazing to kind of see how he's changed throughout the series, you know? He's only gotten better. I mean, I feel like they all have.
Right.
You know? But he goes, and the gang literally falls apart without him. They just lounge around doing nothing because they don't know what to do.
Katara tries to crack a joke, doesn't land. I love Aang, man. Just like, I guess comedy doesn't run in the family. Like, damn, bro, what a roast.
He's like, I'm second guessing my decision to have a crush on Katara.
Katara just went from a 10 to an 8.
Yeah. You know, she's trying. And so Sokka is training, and Piandao is basically having him do all these different tasks. He has to write his name. And so Sokka is like, it has to be a representation of me, huh? And he just like face plants onto the paper and like rubs it all around. He's like, it's me.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. And then he has to move the rocks in a rock garden, and he ends up making like a chair to like lounge around in. And my favorite one is when they go to the waterfall area, and he's like, you have to draw this after only seeing it for a few seconds. Go. And Sokka draws it. He is not an artist.
No.
But he adds a rainbow, which is so cute and adorable. And like, I think that speaks to his friendship with Aang. Because do you think Sokka would have drawn a rainbow before he met Aang?
No.
No.
No, you wouldn't.
But I feel like Aang kind of, you know, taught him to embrace his like silly, hopeful, childlike side. And, you know, sometimes you just want to draw a rainbow because it makes it better. And like, you know, I just love that.
That speaks a lot, the point that you brought up. Because imagine if Aang never entered Sokka or Katara's lives. Being that, because I know so many people who they say that they had to grow up fast because of the circumstances that they were living in.
Yeah.
Sokka essentially had to do the same thing.
Yep.
Being that all the men in the tribe went off to participate in a war to fight against the Fire Nation. Sokka had to stand up and be the man, had to be the leader.
Yep.
That could have carried some trauma.
Oh, definitely.
And to your point, Aang come into his life really helped him, like you said, embrace his inner child to, hey, you could slow down. You don't have to grow up so fast. Like, everything is chill. Because he saw Aang in the beginning as just some weird, goofy little kid. But as they traveled and they grew together, he sees that Aang is a goofy little kid, but he's also the most powerful person on the planet.
Yeah.
And he's capable of a lot, even though he's a goofy little kid.
Yeah.
So if he could be goofy, but still get shit done, so can I.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel like Aang brought a lot of levity
Yes.
to Sokka. Because I think without Aang, he would have just unfortunately been this really like serious kind of dour person. And that's not necessarily his fault, but I feel like Aang, especially with his like friends, he really touches them in a lot of wonderful ways and helps them grow as people and help them kind of escape the darkness that threatens to kind of consume them with the war going on.
Right.
You know? Like everybody that Aang talks to, he helps. You know, and I love that. Something else that I want to also bring up is in the scene where Sokka is like supposed to write his name, the height difference between him and Piandao is it made me like go because you, when you're watching the show, the kids interact with other kids, they're all pretty much the same height,
right?
You know, and Iroh, who's the adult that's around the most, he's pretty short. So you forget sometimes how young they are. And then you see a scene like that and you see the height difference between a regular adult and a 15, 16-year-old kid. And you are reminded, oh shit, these are all kids. Sokka's still a kid. Like there's such a difference in height. And it just like really reminds you of who is supposed to save the world,
right.
You know? So I just wanted to bring that up because that was really interesting to me.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I just want to say, putting it out there, distinguished gay Piandao with his little T and
you think so?
Yeah. A lot of the fandom does, but you know, that's what I thought. I was like, oh yeah. And something that I love is so Sokka basically, he finishes his training. I assume he's there for like a couple of days, right?
It seemed like 2 days.
Yeah,
honestly,
it wasn't a long time.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
And that's a lot of improvement, very fast. And he basically is told that like he doesn't have the skills yet of a master swordbender.
A new bending element,
yeah,
sword bending.
Yeah. But throughout all of the tasks, he showed that he is creative, he is resourceful, he is clever and hardworking, and so Piandao is like, okay, we're gonna make a sword together. And Sokka's like, hey, can I just like go out and get some metal and bring it back? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, I'm gonna have a space sword.
Yep.
Which is so crazy. Like, but that's Sokka. That's the kind of person he is, thinking outside the box, you know? Why have plain old regular metal when you can have like meteorite space metal?
Only Sokka.
Yeah. And like he just casually has this space sword now.
Yep.
But he makes the sword and it's beautiful and he's able to fight Piandao really well. He uses his agility. He's very clever in the way that he uses the terrain. So he really has showed that he was paying attention and that he cares about what he's doing. And it's so wonderful to watch. And, you know, all of his friends are so proud of him. And and then Piandao is like, yeah, I know you're from the Southern Water Tribe. And they're like, how did you know?
Sokka, the giveaway.
Yeah.
Try Lee. It's a bunch of Lees.
Yeah. As if Sokka isn't very clearly a Water Tribe name, and as if Sokka is not several shades darker in skin tone than everybody else in the Fire Nation. Like, you know.
Right.
But because Piandao is part of the White Lotus Society, he's okay with it, and he embraces that, and he gives Sokka a little Paisho tile when he leaves, as like foreshadowing.
Like, woo.
Yeah.
I really like this episode. It's so, any episode that like takes time to, you know, give a little bit more attention to a character. Like I always like it. Like with the Painted Lady, we got a little bit more attention on Katara.
Yeah.
Now this one is the Sokka episode.
Yeah.
It's always nice to see the growth of the gang.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, Iroh's just getting buff.
Just getting jacked,
Yeah.
dude. Man, when he took off
and the pillow falls away, I was like, okay.
He is not.
Okay, Iroh.
No. And they like to call him a fat, lazy. No.
Yeah.
Like you said, play dumb, act aloof until it benefits you not to.
Yeah. Oh man, so funny.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for this episode?
Just a little moment of Toph blushing.
Yeah. She has a bit of a crush on Sokka, which who can blame her? You know, he's a good guy and he's cute. One thing I will say though is I like that they never really explore that, you know, because she's 12, she has her whole life ahead of her. But I will also say that when eventually Suki comes back, something that I do really like is I like that there's no jealousy. Like Toph never has a moment where she's like, Suki, or like, meh. You know, she never feels that way about her and Sokka. So I like that, because there could have been a moment of that, but there really isn't. And I appreciate that.
Like the common cliche.
Yeah. You know. All right. So I guess on to the next episode.
The beach.
The beach. The first time I saw this, when I was like watching it in that binge, I was like, oh my God, are they really going to do a beach episode? Oh my God, they're really doing a beach episode.
Is that like a common trope? Like the shows have a...
Yeah, in anime specifically, most animes will have a beach episode where the characters go to the beach. And usually it's like a filler episode. There's no point to it. Usually it's just to be like, ooh, look at everyone in their swimsuits. But yeah, it's a really common thing for animes to have a beach episode. So the fact that Avatar did that, I think, is a nice kind of homage to, you know, the style. So they go to Ember Island, which is an island in the Fire Nation. It's like a beach community, a beach resort. Zuko is peak emo teen right now. He is just... but it's him, it's Zuko, Mei, Ty Lee, and Azula. And they're just like basically they're being like sent on a vacation because Ozai is like, get out of my sight, I gotta do stuff.
Right.
And they get to the little house they're staying in. I assume it's like Lee and Lo's house. And everyone's like, ew, this place is gross. And Ty Lee's like, no, I like it. I'm with Ty Lee. I like old lady houses.
Yeah.
They smell weird, but there's always cool stuff there.
The painting of the twins when
Yeah.
they're younger.
Oh, man. Life will age ya.
Yeah.
Life will age you. But yeah, Zuko's peak emo teen. He's so like, man, like, father sent us away and this place sucks and I don't want to be here and everything is terrible. Like, chill, Zuko, please.
Even got like the hair, like this.
Yeah. Because it's in that weird growing out stage.
Yeah.
Something that I think is just funny is when they decide to go to the beach and Lee and Lo like take off their robes to show their swimsuits. May like puts her hand over Zuko's eye. She's like, I'm gonna spare you this image. Meanwhile, the other gang is sort of at a beach too. Not at the same beach. They're not at Ember Island, but they're at a beach too, and they're having fun. And I feel bad for Aang because all he wanted to do was like go down a water slide, and now because of his arrows, he, you know, gets spotted by the Fire Nation and the assassin is after him. Like, oh, I feel kind of bad. Like,
I mean, the plot had to.
Yeah, they had to
somehow.
do something. Yeah.
But and it's within character, because you know Aang is carefree.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he knows that he's supposed to be dead, but
that's not gonna let him. That's not gonna stop him.
Yeah, and it was a water slide.
I know.
How can you not go down the water slide?
I know. So yeah, I feel a little bad for him because he was just trying to relax, but unfortunately, he was spotted. And then the teens, the youth, go to the beach, and I feel like Ty Lee is very aware of what she's doing. Like, Ty Lee is also someone who I think plays dumb, but she knows exactly what's going on. Like, I don't think she doesn't realize that all these boys are fawning over her. Because, like, she makes the guy stand in front of the sun so she can get shade. Like, she very clearly is like, oh, all these boys want me for my body? Fine, I'm going to use them. Good for you, Ty Lee.
See, when I was younger, I never looked at the body. I always looked at the face.
Okay.
So I'm just thinking, like, she's pretty.
She is pretty. I mean,
you know.
I'm not saying she isn't.
No, but, like, obviously today with an adult mind, now it's just like, oh, yeah, the body.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, you know, I remember watching the episode and I was like, I didn't look like that at 15. Like Azula, too. I was like, But everybody is different and every body is different. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, not to get into it, but it's kind of scary how fast teenagers today are developing. Like, there are dudes. This little
Your
piece
little
of hair,
beard, your little chin beard. Yeah.
Whatever you could call it.
Yeah.
This little thing.
Goatee.
I didn't get it until fucking 23. There are dudes who are 14, 15. Full beards. I'm like,
know.
How? I didn't. I couldn't.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel a little bad because they're there's a certain sort of scrutiny that comes to you when you age very quickly as a younger kid.
Yeah.
Especially for girls. But I feel like teenagers nowadays, they don't have an ugly phase.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like when I was a teenager, I was ugly. Well, I wasn't ugly. I mean, I was always like cute, but
The awkward phase.
yeah, like when I like from like 12 to like 15, it was just no. It was just no. And then I had to learn kind of how to be more attractive, you know? And so they don't go through that ugly phase. And that's not fair. That's not fair. I have to be ugly and so do you.
Right? You gonna do that? You're gonna be the okay boomer? That's what it sounds like. Like we had to walk 15 miles to get to school.
I know, I realize that it sounds a little bit like that. But like I think like I'm joking, but I also think that there's a real danger there.
No, yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I think that Ty Lee is very aware of how people perceive her, and I think she uses that to her advantage.
She even mentions it. Well, not fully, but she says it to Azula. You know, you want a guy to like you, just laugh at anything that they say, even if it's not funny.
Yeah, which is, that's truth right there, let me tell you. But also something that's really interesting about this episode is you start to see a little bit of jealousy in Azula. I think that she, for the first time, I think she's aware that like people like not her. They like people that aren't Azula. And there's nothing that she can do to change their mind, you know? And I don't think she's ever really had to deal with that. So that's interesting. And so Zuko and May are sitting under a blanket and he gives her a seashell because Iroh said once that getting a seashell would be nice. And so I guess Zuko is like, Iroh said this is a good gift, so I'm going to give it to May. And she's like, why would I want that?
Like, don't girls like this? She was like, yeah, maybe dumb one.
Yeah, and then like Ty Lee likes it. But I think, in all honesty, I'm not mad at May for saying that because, yes, Zuko gave her a gift, but where was the intent? I mean, what's the point of getting a gift if the person giving it to you doesn't like care about what it is?
Right.
Like if I get a gift, I want it to be because the other person saw it and said, "Oh, Brielle will like this," you know?
Yeah.
But just a gift for gift's sake, what's the point of that? Like there's, you know, but he's trying, you know. I just think that like this episode really shows us that like Zuko and May don't know each other. You know, when he was banished, they were like 13. Maybe they had started dating, but maybe they hadn't, but they were still so young. They are completely different people, Zuko especially. So I feel like for Zuko and May, bless you, I feel like for Zuko and May, they're dating, and while they're dating, they're also rediscovering each other. You know, they're learning who the other person is. And so Zuko is learning that he can't just do these, you know, expected milestones with May. He has to actually have intent behind it. Right. You know? And then May later learns that she has to be more open with her emotions with Zuko, but we'll get to that later. And then, so something that I just want to bring up is like Zuko like takes off his robe and like the birds fly and there's like a shine of light and all these girls are like, ah.
That was so random. Like I would have thought that would have probably came back. Yeah. Because like they did the whole jealousy thing with Zuko and May. So I thought maybe girls would be going to Zuko, but no.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was just so random.
Yeah, it was really random. But also, maybe it's like the Jewish mother in me, but he did that and I went, oh, he's so thin. Oh, he's so thin. Somebody get him some food. He looks emaciated. Zuko, no. Like, I don't think he looked like I was like, oh, no, we need to get some meat on those bones, honey. No. Especially when you contrast him with like Sokka, who's the same age in the previous episode where like he's like sword fighting and you can see that his like chest and his back. Like Sokka is thin, but he's not like skinny, you know? I feel like Zuko is like skinny. Oh, we need to feed him.
Nah, come on. We love a skinny legend. Let him be. For all my skinny legends out there. I'm with you.
Yeah, so they're on the beach and then Azula sees some people playing beach volleyball and she's like, oh, we want to play. And she sees, and we're really shown that she sees everything like a battle. Like, this is not a friendly game of beach volleyball. This is a competition, and she is going to win.
Yep.
And the funny thing is that everybody else just goes with it. Like, none of them are like, Azula, maybe chill. They're like, yeah, we're going to beat them. Like, they have the same mindset, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
That, you know, this whole episode kind of shows us that all of them, Ty Lee and May included, they don't know how to be teenagers. They don't know how to be kids because of the way they were raised. And I think that's like, you know, sad in a way, but also just like really interesting.
I mean, they're not normal teenagers. Like,
no, they're not.
They fought the Avatar.
Yeah.
They're not normal teenagers.
Yeah.
But I love how Azula's just like, see that one girl? Like, and she points her out specifically because I guess she was the strongest player on that team. She's like, when she goes up to the net, there's a slight hesitation on her left foot. Probably a childhood injury that made her weak. We can capitalize on it. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, she sees it like a battle to be won. All of them do. And they completely decimate the other team.
She's like, you will never rise from the ashes of your defeat.
And there's like fire on the net.
And then she's like, well, that was fun.
Yeah. Like, listen, it's iconic. We love that. It's like a great line.
And then the Chads rolled in.
Yeah. Oh God. Like, one of them's name is Chan. Like, he's supposed to be a Chad. Like, I think that's so funny. And they invite Ty Lee and May to the party, not Zuko and not Azula. And like I said, I think this is kind of the first time that Azula realizes that sometimes people don't like you, and there's nothing you can do to change that.
Yeah.
And there are people who exist in this world that do not know who you are, do not care who you are, and don't fear you. And that must be a real kind of, you know, reality check to her, because her whole life people have bowed to her and supported her and feared her. And so the fact that they don't care about her and they're not interested in her is probably a real blow to her ego.
She seemed very curious about it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't quite agree that it was a blow to her ego, because she could have easily just been like, hey, I'm Princess Azula and this is Prince Zuko, so get your life together.
Yeah.
But no, even Zuko asks, why didn't you tell them who we are? She seemed curious. She just wants to know, what does it feel like if people don't know who I am?
Okay, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like she's just,
like, maybe she's trying to explore the normalcy of being a teenager because she has never had that.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a good point. Yeah.
She said, like, she's used to people worshiping her to the point where Ty Lee says, as they should be. And her answer is like, oh, yeah, you're right. They should be. But
yeah.
I just, and that stood out to me a lot. Just her being curious of that side. Because when they went to Ba Sing Se, you know, people didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
But she was undercover. So it's like that was a mission for her.
Yeah.
But this is your home nation. People should know who you are.
Yeah, I don't know. Why don't they know who she is?
It's a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, granted, there isn't like TV where people would see her face all the time, but like, she's the crown princess. I feel like everyone should know who she is. But then again, those guys are idiots. So
right. For me, I feel like she sees it as a task. Like, okay, so they don't know who I am. So let me see if I can maneuver, if I can navigate through this, being not Princess Azula, but just a regular person, and see if I can conquer this.
Yeah, like she looks to manipulate it, as with everything in her life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Also, in that scene where her and Ty Lee are talking, I kind of like that Zuko and May are just like leaning up against each other.
Yeah, that was cute.
Because even when they're kind of in a weird fight, they still care about each other.
Yeah.
They're every high school couple that you ever knew. You know?
Oh boy, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the gang goes to a party, and they arrive precisely on schedule, very punctual, the perfect party guests.
Dusk to dawn.
Yeah.
It is dusk.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, you would think that Ty Lee or May would understand how a party works because they weren't like royalty. But then again, at the same time, May is nobility, and Ty Lee, I don't know if Ty Lee is nobility, but she's in that world too. So all of them are so clueless, and it's very funny. So they're at the party, and Ty Lee is literally getting like hit on by every guy. And, you can tell that it's making her a little uncomfortable. But she goes up to Azula, and Azula's like, they don't actually like you. You're a tease. And it's like, oh, jealous much, Azula?
Yeah.
But Ty Lee, even faced with that, Ty Lee still shows so much compassion to Azula, and she offers to help her. And I think she also sweetens the pot by going, but you're the prettiest, most wonderful girl in the Fire Nation. All these things that Ty Lee does that I think she does to protect herself. And she basically, like you said, tells Azula, just like smile and laugh at everything they say, even if it's not funny. And Azula does. Yeah. She goes out onto the balcony with Chan, and she laughs at his jokes when they're not funny. And, he kisses her, and, which is sweet. Maybe it's her first kiss. I don't know. And then she replies, we will be the greatest couple in the Fire Nation. We will destroy everyone. Like, we will rule them all. And he's like, bye.
Yeah, she went a little intense there.
Yeah. But like, listen, Azula, we've all been there. We've all, gotten a little too invested in a relationship and got a little crazy. Like, I understand.
And on the flip side of that, we have Mei and Zuko.
Yeah.
Oh man. The line where Zuko was just like, oh, that guy thinks he's so cool. Mei doesn't say anything. It's like, well, what do you think? And Mei just like, I don't have an opinion on him. I don't know why that hit home for me. It's like, it's just one-on-one male insecurity. Because it's like, we're thinking this shit. We're thinking, oh, because we see him as a cool guy, our girl must think that he's a cool guy too. Yeah. And May's just like, I don't have an opinion on him. Like, who is he?
Yeah.
But we're just in our heads like, no, you like him. Blah, blah. And then this is where all that shit happens.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of that Zuko and Mei don't know how to act around each other because they're still figuring out who the other person is. Because, Zuko has a lot of insecurities, and Mei doesn't know how to like temper those, And if they continue to date, she'll learn, I think, eventually. But that is what kind of leads to their fight, that he keeps jumping to all these conclusions, like, oh, that guy needs to be punched and get away from my girlfriend, and she won't give him anything other to go off of.
Yeah.
Like, she won't give him another emotion to latch onto, and they fight, and she says, we're over, and he storms out.
Boom.
They're broken up.
The way he didn't even push the kid. He just said, be gone. And he went flying.
Yeah.
That was something.
Something else that I want to say, because when Azula is talking to Ty Lee and basically is like, you're a tease and those boys don't really like you, and Ty Lee starts crying. I say crying. I don't know if she was really crying. And Azula is like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean it. Like, please help me. It feels very out of character for her. But I think, like you were saying, this whole situation is very weird for her. And I think she's realizing she doesn't have any friends. Like, all she has is Ty Lee and Mei and Zuko. And I think she realizes that, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that to Ty Lee, because now she's crying and now she won't help me. Especially because Ty Lee's always shown her such kindness before. So I feel like even though it might seem out of character for Azula to be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, please help me. At the same time, it's not, because I think so much of the third season for Azula is her realizing that her way of life is not sustainable, and that her way of life and her way of existing has only been a detriment to her, because she doesn't really have any friends. She doesn't trust Azula, and she doesn't trust Azula. She doesn't trust Ty Lee or Mei or really Zuko. And look where it's got her. She's alone at a party and she doesn't know what to do.
Right. And I used to think, because when they were saying that Amber Island, reveals your truth
and it smooths you out.
I used to think that it didn't affect Azula, because she was still the same person onto the island, off the island. But watching this again, after what you just mentioned, I think that Amber Island did change her just a little. Like it showed the vulnerabilities you just mentioned.
Yeah. I
You know?
think, I don't know if it smoothed her out, but I think it's starting to, I think it chipped away at her,
Yes.
you know? But, you know, I feel a little bad for Azula because as a fellow woman who has been told that I am intimidating to men, I understand. You got to weed them out. You got to weed them out, you know? If a guy can't handle your strong personality, you don't need him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so Zuko storms out. He hits at May's soft spot. I think he really does when he storms out by saying that, like, you don't have any passion, you don't care, like you're just blah. I think that really hit her hard. And so he goes to the house, their old house.
He starts having flashbacks of their vacation. It seemed like they only had like one vacation there.
I mean, I'm sure they had like one or two, but yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot.
Right.
Before things got bad.
He sees the painting, he sees everything. And it's interesting that Azula knew exactly where to find him. Like she knew that he was gonna be there.
Yeah.
And she even mentions like, and another thing that's like kind of a little out of character for her, is she urges Zuko to like, let's get out of here. Like this place is depressing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine Azula to say something like that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I would imagine her to say something more along the lines of, well, stay here and wallow in pity if you want. I'ma head over here. But she's like, nah, come on, let's get out of here. This is depressing.
Yeah, I think this episode, she's realizing that this is all she has.
Yeah.
And then I think that makes it even more devastating later on when, like, she gets betrayed and, you know, her father kind of abandons her and stuff. We'll get to that, but, you know.
So.
Oh, also, I just want to say those flashbacks, those are with Iroh.
Wait, what?
So the flashbacks of the kids on the beach, I don't think those are flashbacks with his father. I don't think those are flashbacks with his father. Those are flashbacks with Iroh and Lu-Ten. Because when he's like when the guy's chasing those are two boys. And when the baby being held up, number one, that's Iroh. It's very clearly Iroh holding that baby. And it's the other person is a little boy. I think Zuko, until he looks at the painting and sees his father and sees the hand, I think all of the memories are with Iroh and Lu-Ten. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Because I was watching this, I was thinking, like, this doesn't make any sense because Ozai was never a good person.
Yeah.
Like, when his kids were young, he was never a good person. So I'm watching this, I'm just thinking, like, why, you know, this is like, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But,
it's Iroh and Lu-Ten in those flashbacks.
Holy shit.
Until it gets to him looking at the photo and you see the flashback of the man's hand on his shoulder, that's his father.
That's Ozai.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I need to watch this again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They go down to the beach and Zuko sees May and Ty Lee and Azula. And he asks May if she's cold and she like brushes him off. And then Ty Lee says, I'm freezing. And the first thing that popped into my head was, damn, Ty Lee, I can't control the weather.
Why?
It's from That 70s Show.
Oh, okay.
In one of the episodes of That 70s Show, Eric and Donna are basically competing against Kelso and Jackie, who's the best couple. And Donna says like, oh, Eric, I'm really cold. And in order to show them up, Eric gives her his jacket. And Jackie goes, oh, Kelso, I'm cold too. And he goes, well, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather. So I immediately thought of that when she said that.
Oh, man. That's funny.
But Zuko's so nice. He makes her a fire with all of the relics from their house.
And just burns it.
Yep. Public destruction. That helps. And okay. So now we're gonna get into it. So Zuko basically is like, no one understands me. Super emo teen. And Ty Lee goes, I know you. And he's like, no, you don't. And she goes, I know you. Ty Lee is the fucking smartest person in this show. She is so perceptive and so clever. And I think that her whole like ditzy, dumb thing, I don't think it's like a full act. I think she definitely like believes in auras and things like that.
Right.
But she lays it on because she knows that that's how she protects herself, and that's how she learns about other people, and that's how people underestimate her. But I think she is so watchful and so careful, and she's right. She does know Zuko. She knows him, she knows May, she knows Azula. She can read them all like a book because she's been there the entire time saying, yes, Azula, you're so great, Azula. Like, oh, she's so brilliant. I love Ty Lee. This episode is what made me kind of like her as a character, because before this, I kind of found her a little annoying, and I kind of was like, she doesn't really do much. She's just there to like fawn over Azula. But this episode kind of showed me that she's not dumb, and I love that. Oh, it's so, what a brilliant line, because the thing is, she was there. The whole time throughout their childhood, she was there. She saw the abuse. She saw the competition. She saw the anger and the fear, And so basically it's therapy, Ember Island style.
Yeah.
And they all kind of air out their grievances. Ty Lee says that the reason that she left to join the circus was because she has 6 other sisters and she felt like she wasn't her own person and she needed to get away and be herself. And, that's why she is the way she is. And May is like, yeah, but you also are an attention seeker because you had to compete with your sisters for the attention, which fair, and then, Zuko shoots back at May. Yeah, well, you don't show any emotion. You're passionless. Why don't you do anything? And then May, basically, she doesn't have anyone tell her, but basically tells them that she grew up being told to like stand still, look pretty, don't say anything. Your father has his like career that we have to think of. You have to behave the right way. And so May kind of so like there are 2 ways. She could have gone outward like Ty Lee and acted out and joined the circus, but instead she chose to go inward and she closed herself off, which is both options are, have their own issues and stuff. And the thing that is really interesting that I think a lot of people don't realize, May is Toph. May and Toph have the same life. Both of them were raised in a very restrictive environment that told them to behave a very specific way. And Toph chose to act out. She went to the Earth Rumble. She left with the Avatar. And May chose to fold inward. And so it bothers me sometimes when people don't like May as a character because of the way she chose to cope with that type of like pressure. Because she's the same as Toph. She just chose route B instead of route A.
Right.
And, I think that there's a lot of good in her, just like there is in Toph. She just has to work differently to get at it, Yeah,
Toph had an outlet.
Yeah, exactly. May doesn't have that outlet yet.
Yeah.
And I think she gets it because at the end of the series, she's friends with everybody.
Right.
So they obviously wouldn't be friends with her if she wasn't a good person. But yeah, she hasn't gotten to that point yet in her journey. Like Toph's already there, but May hasn't gotten there yet.
I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, they both were raised under very, very restrictive circumstances, told to act a certain way, to behave a certain way, and May chose to listen and basically close herself off. And so Zuko basically says that he's angry, and he's just angry all the time. And all the other kids are like, well, what are you angry about? Who are you angry at? Who are you angry at, Zuko? And he's angry at himself. And he like shoots the fire up and like, chill, Zuko. But he's angry at himself because he knows he made the wrong choice.
Right.
And he's dealing with that, but he can't tell anyone that he knows he made the wrong choice. There's a moment where Azula like gives a half smile when Zuko mentions that like the Avatar may not be, exactly dead, which she already knows, but I think that was a moment where she's like, oh, he's breaking. But yeah, he's just angry at himself and angry at the situation, and he's unhappy because everything that he ever wanted isn't turning out like he wanted it to. And, there's a lot of conflicting emotions in him.
Yeah.
And
and Mei sees that, and I think this is where Mei turns around. She's just like, this is where like she shows some emotions. It's like, well, I care about you
Yeah.
and everything, and just like that, they're back together.
I know. I love Zuko and Mei. I think they're a great pairing. I really do.
And then everyone looks at Zula, and Zula's just like, ha, can't relate. And Zuko's just like, yeah, because you're so perfect. And no one says anything to Azula. She's the one that brings up. It's like, well, yeah, I am perfect. You know, I mean, if there was one thing that I could vent about, it would be the fact that my own mother thought I was a monster. She was right, but you know, still hurt.
Yeah.
And she just kind of brushes it off.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very funny because it's a joke, but it's also not a joke.
it's not a joke.
Because like I have a lot of sympathy for Ursa. But she wasn't a good mom.
No.
I mean, I think there were a lot of reasons why she wasn't a good mom. It wasn't like she looked at Azula and went, ew. Like, there were a lot of things that prevented her from being a good parent. But she wasn't a good mother to Azula. She did reprimand her a lot. And she didn't show her a lot of positive affection. And she did favor Zuko. And, you know, little kids notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Little kids notice when things aren't equal. And so I think that, you know, when you get older, when you're an adult, you can look back on your childhood and say, oh, the reason that my mother treated me this way was because of XYZ. And I see that now. It wasn't that she hated me. But Azula is still a child. And what's more is she's a very deeply, like, abused child. And so she doesn't have that kind of wisdom and like hindsight to look and see that her mother did love her. There was just a lot of things that her mother couldn't do. And her mother was a human. She was flawed.
Right.
But yeah, so I think it's definitely a joke because I feel like Azula doesn't really care. But at the same time, I think she very much cares that Ursa did not love her in the same way that she loved Zuko. And, you know, those wounds did not heal well.
Yeah.
You know.
And we see that play out.
Yes, exactly.
In the finale.
Yeah.
And then after that, after that little therapy session,
yeah,
they go back to the party. They trash the house.
They trash everything.
And everyone's smiling while everything was burning in flames.
Yeah.
So that ends their story.
Yeah.
I just love the shot of like, it's just Ty Lee just.
Yeah. Friends forever. Public destruction.
Now, to the part where I believe is the most epic part of the entire series. Mm-hmm. Like this tops the fight with Ozai. This tops the North Pole with the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
This tops everything. When we see our gang, we see Team Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
They're sleeping.
Yes.
Toph gets up. She's like, "Hey, there's a metal guy that's about to get us.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm And
two things. Mm-hmm. One, Toph is cuddling with Momo, and that's really adorable.
Is she?
Yeah, she's like sleeping next to Momo. It's really cute.
I didn't notice that.
And two, Sokka with his hair down. Ooh, fine AF. Oh, Sokka with his hair down. Very cute.
Nah, yeah. I will give you that because I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah.
Very cute. Anyway, continue.
Very manly.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, everything about this moment is so good. It gives me chills every time I watch it. When Toph alerts everyone and everyone is like a little dazed and confused, the reflection, the light shining off his armor into Aang's eyes, as Toph is saying that, is like, wait, a metal guy, and then a light is in Aang's eyes, and they're looking up. And it's just everything about it so amazing. And we see Combustion Man, he's just standing there looking at them. I love how we cut to Katara and Sokka, like they're both just in sync, getting ready. Like Sokka goes for his sword, like looking all manly, the hand down. Katara's like, what's about to happen? And Aang's eyes widen as Combustion Man breathes in, and boom, 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 boom. And what I really love about this is the fact there's no music during this part.
Yeah.
No music.
Yeah.
You just hear the sand moving. You hear them bending. Holy shit! I'm sorry. No, this part gets me so excited because it's just the sound design is so amazing, man. We hear Toph sliding like taking the impact, and then she bends the rocks back up. Combustion Man reflects that. How Katara, she like runs to the side a little and like shoots up.
Yeah.
He blocks that, and then the music comes in. Ooh, dun dun dun. Dun. Holy shit, man. Everything's just and then And then we go back. Sokka's just like, how he's supposed to be the guy that like blows things up with his mind, and Aang's like, we can't get Appa. I'm gonna distract him. And that little back and forth between
when they're on those like columns, those stone
my
columns, it's
God.
really an expertly animated fight sequence.
Yes.
It's so cool to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, really cool because you start to see like Aang, like he uses the Rockman thing that Toph taught him. Like it, oh man, it's so cool.
Best, the most epic scene out of the entire series.
It's really, really
I feel like
cool.
it's not talked about enough.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Combustion Man or Sparky Boom Man. I feel like he gets kind of forgotten because the show kind of forgets him. Like he's only in like 3 or 4 episodes. We know nothing about him, and then he's gone. And it's like, okay,
Right.
like he's a cool character. I would have liked to learn more about him.
Right.
Like, why can he just like shoot fire out of his head? Basically, like, how is he able to do that? You're not going to tell me? Okay, that's a choice. Okay.
It's just another form of bending. Like,
Yeah.
I guess
Don't they talk about it in Korra?
there's just another character like that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just like that was something that bothered me that they just kind of introduced him and then said bye. And it was like, well, then what was the point?
He
You
doesn't
showed me
even
this
talk.
cool person
Yeah.
and you're not even going to explain anything. Okay,
Yeah.
bye. Like,
I get that.
but yeah, that is an amazing fight scene.
And just when Aang takes the impact, uses it to shoot himself up,
Yeah.
and then Appa catches him.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, yeah. Appa catches him, and I just love how like Katara is just like squeezing Aang. It's like, oh my god, and Aang is just like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and Toph is just like, that was random.
Yeah.
Like just to lighten the mood a little.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that was random.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a good episode.
Yes.
It's a really interesting episode. We learn a lot.
And speaking of learning a lot,
Yeah. Episode 6, The Avatar and the Fire Lord.
Yes.
Fire Lord and the Avatar. So when I first watched this episode the first time, I came into it feeling and thinking I was so slick. Because I was like, I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna like, oh, Roku and Sozin were friends. Well, duh. Like that makes total sense. That's a great story, device to use. Like, I thought I was so slick. I knew what they were gonna do. I knew how they were gonna connect Aang and Zuko. Like I was, and then they just they really turned it around on me. Anyway, so Aang is meditating and he's speaking to Roku, and Roku says, you have to go to my island and I'll be able to kind of show you about my past because you have to understand my past to be able to stop the Fire Lord. And they go to the island. It's basically Pompeii. Like the whole village is like under ash and rock. And Aang sits on a cliff and the coloring is so beautiful when he's sitting on that cliff. Like the sky is like pink, purple, blue, a little bit of orange. Oh, beautiful when he like goes into the meditation. Meanwhile, Zuko gets a like letter in the middle of the night, and it basically tells him that he needs to know the history of his great-grandfather. And he asks Azula, and Azula basically tells him like, oh, Sozin was this great Fire Lord, and he helped start the war, and then he died peacefully in his sleep. He was very old. And Zuko's like, there's got to be more to it than that. And he realizes that the parchment that he has is like, if you hold it in front of the light, it like shows a different message, which is so cool. Yeah. And so he's told basically to go down into like the catacombs to learn the real truth. And so he follows the fire sages and he goes into the dragon bone catacombs, which like creepy, and there are dragon skulls on the wall, and then you later find out in another episode that like all of the dragons were killed. Well, that's where they are. Yeah. Also, how did Iroh get that note to him? Like, how did he do that? Also, how did he get it to be the magic with the fire? Like, how did he do that? He's in prison.
I would imagine I highly doubt he found a way to escape. Maybe some White Lotus members in the Fire Nation, because like we see on the Day of Black Sun that there is a guard that likes him.
Yeah.
So maybe there are like other guards that are fond of him.
Yeah, they gave him some parchment. They said have fun, So basically, Aang and Zuko are getting these parallel stories about Sozin and Roku when they were children, because they grew up in the Fire Nation together and they were best friends and they cared a lot about each other. Something I love is when Roku sees the girl that he has a crush on and then he just flops onto the grass. Sozin just starts like dropping grass on him, which is what friends do. They just bother you. Roku is told that he's the Avatar and his life changes. And that's got to be kind of weird to like live your whole life one way and then the next day you're the Avatar. Like you're the most powerful person in the world. And you have to leave your home and go to all these places and learn. We don't ever really think about that because Aang was so young when he learned about being the Avatar that he was able to kind of mull it over more. But being like 16 or 17, being almost an adult and hearing that your life is completely different, that's got to be a rough transition. So basically, Roku goes off to train and he, learns from all the different masters. He meets Monkey Atso because friendship can transcend lifetimes, which is a very, very sweet message and idea. And so he learns airbending, he learns waterbending, and then he learns earthbending. And it's so crazy because like it took him 12 years to master all of those things. And Aang had to learn it all in like maybe a year, 9 months to a year. And Aang is so good. Like, oh man, like Aang does not get a break.
No, he doesn't.
Like the things that we as the society are asking of him is insane when you think about all the other avatars and the amount of time that they had. Even if those other avatars were facing a crisis, all of them had time to learn their elements. And Aang has like a year. And that's crazy that he does it. And he does it so well. Like, Also, I did not need to know that the spirit world doesn't have bathrooms. I didn't need to know that.
Yeah, did he shit his pants?
I think it's implied. I didn't need to know that.
So I'm just thinking, so once he gets back, does he have to like clean?
I guess so.
Because everyone's holding hands at the end. I'm just like, I
guess maybe he like took a quick like bath or shower or whatever.
Maybe.
Because he was sitting there for a long time. I'm sure like just in general, he felt like he needed to take a bath. But yeah, I didn't need to know that.
Yeah.
Bryke, I didn't need to know that. I could have gone my whole life without knowing that. Thanks.
I mean, it's a fun fact. Like even
it's funny, but like I still didn't need to know.
But when Sokka first came out of the spirit world,
he had to go to the bathroom.
He had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so when Roku gets back, he gets married to the girl who she looks like Aang. She looks like Aang and she has gray eyes. Interesting.
Is that little theory that's going on? It's going on around right now, saying that like your future, your next life, you're gonna have a similar face to the love of your life from your past.
Yeah,
life.
that's like a Japanese. It's like I believe it's a Japanese myth or like idea that your face. What?
No, I'm just thinking about the meme because people were saying because Korra and Asami.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, the next avatar about to be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea is that your face is the face of your past life's greatest love. And when you look at all the avatars, it's actually kind of true.
Yeah.
Like Kyoshi's girlfriend, Renki, looks like Roku. Roku's wife looks like Aang. Katara looks like Korra. Like, it's sweet. Yeah. But yeah, the next avatar is going to be a beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, but Sozin is like, so the Fire Nation is peaceful and prosperous and wonderful. We should share this prosperity, which is a very interesting way to say colonize and go to war and completely take control of the other nations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love how as they're walking and as Sozin is talking, Roku stops walking because he could already see where this is going.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sozin's idea isn't inherently wrong. Saying that let's share the wealth.
Yeah.
That isn't wrong.
Yeah.
It's just the way he wants to go about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because I don't think that he ever was doing it to share the wealth.
Right.
I don't think he was doing it on the pure basis of cultural exchange. He was doing it because he was like, the Fire Nation's really doing good right now. But you know what would be better? If we were bigger, if we had more.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he just used the whole share prosperity thing as a...
To make it sweeter.
To make it sound sweeter, yeah. And so Roku basically tells him, you won't do that. And if I find out that you're doing that, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sozin already has like colonies in the Earth Kingdom. And this episode, I think, shows us that Roku's greatest folly is his inaction. His hesitance to actually do anything to stop the war before it started is what caused all this problem, is what's caused all this issue. Like, if he had just been like, you know what, Sozin was my friend, but he's gone too far, I have to stop this now, everything would be different, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why he is so insistent to Aang that he face his destiny and do something, because his inaction is what caused everything.
It's even hinted at the beginning of the season of book 3, when Aang goes off and then he sees Yue and he sees Roku. Roku apologizes like, this is my fault. And
yeah, it is.
now we see why.
Yeah. But basically, after that point, him and Sozin don't talk to each other for decades. And they become old men. And Roku lives on an active volcano for some reason. Like, what did you expect, Roku?
Yeah.
Also, like, why does he, like, I guess he doesn't want his house to be destroyed. But, like, everybody's off the island, Roku. You can leave. You don't have to fight the volcano.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I don't know why he does that. I guess he just really wants to keep his house. I don't know. But yeah, so when he's an old man, the, like, island that he's on erupts, and it becomes too much for him to handle. So Sozin comes by to basically help him, and Roku's like, please help me, and Sozin says no, and Sozin leaves him there to die, and he dies, and then we hear a baby cry, and it's Aang. Yeah. Something also cool to note, that Sozin has a blue dragon. When he goes to rescue Roku, he has a blue dragon, Roku has a red one. But yeah, Sozin basically abandons Roku to die. And because now, once Roku's dead, Sozin goes forth with the invasion, and he starts invading the Earth Kingdoms, and he completely destroys all the airbenders.
So it's interesting that they note, because before I used to think that he used the comment to take over, but no, he used the comment to destroy the air nomads.
Yeah,
that's what he used the comment for, not to do what he did.
Yeah,
but specifically to destroy the air nomads.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of poetic that Sozin spent the rest of his life, well, I mean, when he wasn't like pillaging, searching for Aang. And that's how Zuko starts his journey.
Yeah.
You know?
Just a quick note. Another voice acting legend, and I think just actor legend in general, Ron Perlman voices Sozin.
Oh, yeah.
Such an amazing voice actor.
Yeah,
man.
He's great.
I love his voice. He always does a villain, though. But with a voice like that, I can't.
Yeah,
can't
you know. And basically, so Zuko's reading it and he's like, what? That's how it ends? Like, what's the point? I already knew all of this. So he runs to Iroh and he's like, why did you tell me to look up my great-grandfather? He ended the story still alive. Like, why did you tell me to learn about his death? And then Iroh says this thing, and when I watched it the first time, I screamed. He said, you have 2 great-grandfathers, Zuko. Sozin is your father's grandfather. Roku is your mother's grandfather. Okay, so we have to talk about this. Okay, so let me close my book. So it would have been fine. It would have been perfectly acceptable, good storytelling to just have Sozin and Roku be friends as the parallel to Zuko and Aang, right? You know, Zuko and Aang for the whole series have been on this parallel track where their lives intersect and connect. And, from the beginning, you realize that these guys are going to have to meet somewhere and something's going to happen. So it would have been enough. It would have been enough to just have Roku and Sozin have been friends.
Right.
It would have been perfectly acceptable. It would have been perfectly good storytelling to have that be the connecting point for Zuko and Aang. But then they went one step further by having Roku be related to Zuko. And in Zuko now, there is this conflicting energy of good and bad. And it's just so brilliant that, like, not only is Zuko connected to Aang just by the virtue of Sozin and Roku being friends, but he's also connected to Aang because Roku is related to him. And there's this part inside of him that is capable of great power and goodness and peace. And so Zuko as a character has to come to terms with his own light and dark. And it's so brilliant. It was like they took it one step further and it was perfect. Oh, I just died. I died when that happened. It's so brilliant. It's so brilliant because it explains all of his past actions, of why he chose to do good instead of bad, why in the Crystal Catacombs he was so conflicted. Like, oh my God. Oh, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm happy that at least one of us like really enjoyed that moment, because as a kid I think that completely went over my head.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think I was actually paying attention. Like, I knew what was happening, but it didn't hit me as hard as it's hitting you right now.
Yeah, well, you were a kid, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, but oh man, that is brilliant storytelling. That is such brilliant storytelling. Oh my God.
It's good. Really good.
I will say though, the one thing that I don't like about it is they never make any jokes about it. Like, especially later on when Aang finds out that Roku is Zuko's great-grandfather. There's no jokes. There's never any jokes about, like, Aang being his grandfather. Like, come on. It writes itself. Like, Zuko, like, yells at Aang, and the guitar goes, hey, treat your grandfather with some respect. He's not my grandfather. Listen here, young whippersnapper. Like, it writes itself, and there's no jokes, and it really makes me upset.
Yeah. I mean, he finds out in the comment, in the comics.
I thought they found it in the show.
Aang doesn't find out until until I think it's the first comic.
Yeah. That was a missed opportunity though for the show. That was a missed opportunity for Aang to make some jokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just what a great thing that they did. That is so brilliant. Love it. Oh, so good.
That's good.
Yeah, it really is, because it took what could be a perfectly good story kind of arc or plot device and made it so much better. Also, something that I just want to say is you can tell it's not Mako.
Yeah, Greg Baldwin, he has
yeah,
and anything that he really does, that any Mako work that he picked up after Mako's passing, it sounds more Russian than Chinese.
in a weird way.
Yeah, because when he because he also took over for Aku, who Mako voiced on Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just sounds like a more Russian than Chinese, or
yeah.
know.
I mean, it's got to be hard. It's got to be difficult because you're filling these huge shoes, and you want to do the character justice, and you want to sound like the other person, but you don't want to try and like mimic them because that would be disingenuous. But like,
Yeah, but he does a good job.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, he does. I think that he carries Iroh through the end of the show very well. I'm not saying he doesn't, but like, I
would tell you though, what was good, the advantage that they had back in the day being that it was TV and there was breaks in between.
That's
seasons.
true.
So when I first heard Iroh speak, I didn't catch the difference
because there was a break between. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. I think it's harder with the Netflix age because I could just watch one episode after the other.
And it's like, does he sound a little different?
Yeah.
But
oh, that's true. Yeah. The benefit of watching it like as it's premiering on TV. But yeah, so Zuko learns that, and Aang learns the truth. He doesn't learn that Roku is related to Zuko, but he learns that, and so the gang is like, oh, well, that just proves that like some people are just like born evil. And Aang's like, no, I think the point is that there's capacity for good in everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like the first like step in Aang's decision to do what he does at the end of the show. And spoilers, spare the Fire Lord.
Right.
You know, I think that's the first kind of step in making that decision.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
because Roku basically shows him that there is the capacity for good in everyone. And Aang tries to do that with the Fire Lord. He tries to give him a chance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I really love, though, that Toph is like, do you guys think that friendship can transcend lifetimes? And they're like, of course, Toph. And they all hold hands, even Sokka. But it's true because Toph ends up being friends with Korra.
Right.
They do transcend lifetimes, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's so sweet. You know, and I think there's, yeah, I love that. I love how much the show puts importance and emphasis on friendship and the beauty and the love of your friends and how important that is. I really, really like that. It's very sweet.
And it's one of those few moments where we actually get like a nice, sweet, happy ending.
Yeah.
Nothing attached to it. No
Yeah.
lingering threat.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Zuko has to learn about his like really go inside of himself and figure out who he wants to be. He has the headpiece now. And then Aang knows what he has to do, but he has his friends beside him, and that's the most important thing.
Yep.
Oh, it's so sweet. I love it. It's great.
It is.
It's a good episode. It really is a good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All three of these.
Yeah, they are really
picks.
good episodes. Yeah. Anything else before we go?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I like this. Yeah, this was good.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I mean, how would you know? We had a little like break where we couldn't film because of snow and the weather and everything. So it's been a while. So it's good to come back. And these are the episodes that we come back to.
Yes.
You know, some fun episodes, some like silly episodes, and some really meaningful, important episodes.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all of your support. You can find us anywhere you find your podcasts. We are also on YouTube. Please give a like, comment, or subscribe. And we will see you all next week.
Alrighty.
All right. Bye.